Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Mattel Masters of the Universe Origins Clawful. Now before we get into it here, let us first take a look-see at both the front and the back of the packaging. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now before we get into the meat and taters of this review, Clawful does come with a mini comic, as most MOTU Origins do. And if you're curious as to how much of a Mary Sue Sunman and his magic skin are, well, you either already have this or you need to get your own. Not going to spoil it for you, but on the back you can see a cross-sell of all the other figures in this wave, including Sunman, Anti-Eternia He-Man, both of which I don't have yet, and the Horror Trooper, who we will be taking a look at in the next couple of days here. And then there's that elusive vintage head Skeletor and He-Man, which only seem to be available on Amazon. So, very interesting indeed. But pretty cool cover art, as always. I always appreciate the Minicomic cover art. And of course, Clawful's lone accessory is going to be none other than his green club, which, off the top of my head, I don't recall anyone else coming with this accessory so far. So this is a first for me. I'm sure it might have come with Castle Grayskull, the weapons rack, but as far as my Origins collection goes, this is the first time I've had this weapon. And much like Buzzov, who he shares most of his parts with, it does clip into his claw here, which I freaking love. He's got really nice tight grip on his weapon. Not going to fall out, and because of the way it plugs in, he's got the appropriate hinge in the hand. That is something MOTU figures in general have lacked since, really, the dawn of time. It looks like the 40th He-Man's going to be the first to really implement that. But don't quote me on that, though. I can't recall what the Filmation He-Man had going for it. But taking a closer look at Clawful here, the butt of all the jokes, and the most, we'll say dumbfounded to be nice, sounding character on the 2000X series. I mean, he sounded like, I don't know, man. He fell on his head a few times, to say the very least, because, again, trying to be nice here. But with that being said, I love this figure, man. This is my favorite Origins of the year so far, I think. I don't know, that Mantenna looks pretty tight. Seen some reviews of that, but I love Clawful as a character, and he's always been one of my favorites, you know, next to Scaraglow and Skeletor and Webstor, and maybe that's it. I don't know. I have to think about that for a minute. But as far as articulation on this guy goes, it's the standard Origin stuff. He's got the double ball peg in the head. He can look all around. Looks pretty intimidating too, like the mouth is open this time instead of closed like the vintage figure. His armor actually looks like it gives him a significant amount of bulk too, so definitely a little bit more tough looking than his vintage counterpart, which I do have in all of its Jim Henson Muppet glory, but it is unfortunately in storage. But Clawful was one of my first vintage MOTU figures, along with Triclops and Webstor and Trapjaw, that I paid for with my own money. Anyways, but yeah, one of my favorites. Starting to sound like somebody I know. As far as his shoulders go, they do move out to the side, do move back down, move forward and back. It's got a single joint in the elbow with rotation. Swivel at the claw, and of course it does have the little spring-loaded mechanism in there. And this side, of course, has the same swivel hinge in the elbow, and the wrist, of course, swivel in hinges. So he only gets one extra point over here, which is fine. That's cool. As far as his waist goes, it does turn pretty well. His hips, a little bit loose, a little bit, not terrible. They will maintain a pose, but they do kick forward and back and out, back down. I would say this side's a little bit looser than this side, but Elmer's glue will fix that if it really starts to become a problem. He does have a swivel in the knee with a single hinge. I will tell you, the knees this time around on this guy and the Horde Trooper, I'll be taking a look at again the next couple days here, they tighten the knees up. The swivel is a little bit loose for my taste, but the hinge is tight, and that's really what matters here. This in and out at the hip, and the swivel here, and then the hinge in the knee and the hinge in the foot is really what's going to keep this guy from going. So I appreciate that they went and tweaked that a little bit. At least it seems like it anyways. He's got a boot cut, works pretty well, and then he's got a single joint in the foot. I mean, every figure has a single joint in the foot. Why do I keep saying that? I've said that in a ton of videos this year. And he has a ankle rocker and peg holes at the bottom of the feet, but as you can see, he's got 4 toed feet. They're kind of pronged out. Not the band prong, but the prong. And the way they're splayed out, it will allow him to stand quite easily. Really, no matter what position you have him in. So, that's pretty much Clawful in a nutshell. And just spoiler alert, there will be no skit at the end of this video like I like to do with the Origins figures. I will be putting up a short about good old Clawful here. It'll be funny. It'll have the charm that most of my MOTU skits have, but they'll be shorter. Because I have a feeling that some of you guys might be missing out on the skits, and we're going to fix that with the shorts. Granted, they're going to be significantly shorter, since shorts can only be 15 seconds long, but how long do they need to be, right? So with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up here is Clawful next to a couple of characters from the previous wave of MOTU Origins figures. Got Jitsu, a fellow evil warrior, and also another character sporting a massive right hand. Starting to notice a pattern here. And then we have Buzz-Off, who you can clearly see shares some parts with good old Clawful here. Makes me excited to finally get Whiplash in, is it Wave 10? I don't know, I've lost track at this point. And last, but certainly not least, we have our 2 regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, Livid Spawn as usual, towers over everyone. So with that being said, time to wrap things up, some final thoughts. Overall, and what else can I possibly say about this figure that I haven't said already, other than the fact that he's got a pretty good chance of being my favorite MOTU Origins figure of the year. Granted, I don't have a whole lot of Origins figures that have come out this year. For example, I currently do not have Wave 9 or any of the deluxe figures, which would be Flying Fist He-Man, Terraclaw Skeletor, Leech, or Snout Spout. But due to my sheer love for this absolutely ridiculous character in the Masters mythos, it's going to be very difficult to knock him off his pedestal. Although, I think Mantenna might have a pretty good chance at doing that. But, for right now, my favorite Origins figure of the year thus far is going to be none other than a good old Clawful here. So, with that being said, if you haven't added this guy to your Origins collection, I would highly suggest you do so as soon as possible, because I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this wave. It seems like Wave 8 has been a bit of a hit and a miss, because some people have found it in the store, but a lot of people haven't. So if you can find them online for a decent price, I would highly suggest you pick them up, again, as soon as possible. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. If you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil. The world sucks enough as it is, especially when you get a bad rap like poor Clawful here. Cut the guy some slack. He doesn't have all his marbles, right? And until next time, catch you guys later.